Welcome to the Pro Talk podcast. This is season 1, where home service entrepreneurs tell their stories and share advice for winning in their communities. This podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, software that tens of thousands of home service professionals use daily in over a dozen industries, including HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. The app is easy to use and helps you and your employees deliver a 5-star experience to your customers every time. To learn more, go to housecallpro.com/podcast. In today's episode, we have Zach Crider of Gordon's Appliance Service. He shares how he fell into the trades and came upon the opportunity to buy a business and the struggle of raising capital to secure the purchase.
Talk about your business. How did you?
So I kind of fell into the appliance. I guess I should start with that. I own Gordon's Appliance Repair in Chicagoland, Illinois. And I fell into the appliance repair business. That was actually kind of a cool story. You and I hit on that on lunch the other day. I had spent a lot of time kind of soul searching, was not happy with what I was doing, and spent about 6 months kind of preparing before I asked the owner if he was looking for someone. And my dad comes up to me one day and goes, "I don't know why, but you need to go talk to him. Like you need to go and talk to him." And like, all right, cool. So I walk up to the previous owner of the company. I'm like, "Hey, I hate what I'm doing. Are you looking for a guy?" He goes, "Well, actually, I have a guy leaving me, and I need a technician. Why don't you come do a ride along?" So that was 7 years ago, and I popped along, and I fell in love with it. My background is very mechanical. I was a kid that would take crap apart when I was a kid and figure out how to put it back together. And if I couldn't, I'd Frankenstein crap together. It was just kind of always part of me, figuring out that technical mind, figuring out how things work and how I can kind of tweak it. Or, if something can be broken, I'm the guy to break it.
Was there ever, as you're telling me that about a kid taking things apart, I remember one time for some reason I thought I could make a skateboard out of like pegboard that my dad had laying around.
Yeah, I used to build ramps. We had a hill at my parents' house, like a super steep hill, and we would go sledding and stuff down it. And in the summer, I'd build these crappy like ramps out of spare wood that was laying around and see if I could jump my bike off of it.
Was there ever a time where your dad just got really pissed that you tried to build something and you?
No, if I cleaned my stuff up, I was fine. But I was the kid that would have to Frankenstein bikes together because I would jump off these ramps into the farm field behind our house and like just wreck something, right? Like bend a wheel, break a handle, whatever. And then I had to wait till the next Christmas or birthday to get a bike again.
That's tough times, man. But you took the risk and your parents were supportive. So when it comes to Gordon's Appliances, did you need to be certified? I mean,
it was a lot of on the job.
So
really.
You took so just to go back, you went on the ride along and you knew it was the right fit.
Yeah, I just tearing stuff apart, figuring out how stuff worked. There was beginning to be an aspect of like go online and find the manual, and the computer generation of appliances was really starting to take hold when I was starting. And so like, okay, you got to go into a diagnostic mode, and so like I took it upon myself to buy a subscription to an appliance group that had access to manuals and other technicians like myself around the country, and they all kind of helped each other out. It was like a mini appliance community.
So you were hungry. You were hungry to learn, and you took advantage of every resource. How big was the company at the time?
We had 3 employees, including the owner. So
7 years ago.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we are now. We've gone through different phases of things. I've kind of started to find my own groove as far as the company goes. I think one of the biggest challenges, and probably any other owner of any company that's technical deals with the same challenge, is finding qualified people, and then retaining qualified people. But finding them first is hard, right? Your name is on the line on a regular basis when you're walking in and out of a customer house, and making sure someone has that drive, has that mentality, has the skill set to be able to serve your customers well. So that's always a unique balancing act, and you have to kind of decide where you're heading with that. So
So you were a part of the company. You took advantage of every resource so that you could fix things and really be on top of your game. When did the time come that you kind of, I guess, inherited the company? Is that what happened?
Yeah. So from day one, he brought me in after we kind of did the initial ride along, and he felt comfortable with me. His goal from then on was to train me to take over the company. He was in his late 60s, early 70s, and ready to retire. And he wanted someone to carry on that name and someone he could trust and knew would serve the name well. Our company's been around 45 years. And so, he started in 1977.
Wow.
And so he really wanted that name to continue. And so really he started molding me, mentoring me along the way, not only to be a technician, and then there came a point where I kind of surpassed him, and he would send me on more technical stuff because I had the skills. I had used that hunger and that knowledge search to kind of surpass my master. But then at the same time, he was able to begin to teach me the skills I needed to be an owner, to be a manager, to be a people person. And that's been an evolving journey. Really, the last year, that's completely changed. My own personal health journey played a big part in that change. But yeah, so he molded me to do that. In January of this year, this coming year, it will be 4 years that I've owned the company. I kind of mark it by my daughter's birth. That's
right.
Yeah, we purchased the company in 2016, and a month later our daughter was born. So wow. You want to talk about it, insane 4 years. I mean, it's been a whirlwind for sure.
And so how old were you when you maybe started getting feels that I may end up owning this business?
So I mean, I knew basically within that first year that this was going to happen, and series of unfortunate events and just crazy things happen along the way. Eventually having to acquire capital. I mean, the last year that he owned the business, so 2015 was him and I trying to figure out, okay, how can I buy him out? How can I have the capital to be able to run this business? Because in our business with warranty work and some of the other stuff, the revenue coming in is lagging behind what you're putting out. And so I had to have a firm kind of nest egg to really make it through those first 2 months until the money kind of caught up with where everything was going. And that was kind of a unique story. We had really gotten to the point where it was like, all right, we're out of ideas. We've talked to every bank. We've talked to everyone we can think of. I wasn't a startup, and I wasn't an existing business. And so trying to get funded in that space sucks. I mean, it really sucks. I was purchasing an existing business, and so no one wanted to deal with either of us on that financing piece. The owner himself actually financed the purchase of the business. So the trucks, the name, the customer list, like he actually has financed that, and we'll have that paid off here pretty soon. But as far as having the actual operating capital, I had to come up with that myself. And one day, super frustrated, again, went to my dad, just venting all this stuff. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I literally just don't know what to do. I don't know how to make this dream happen. And he goes, well, why don't you talk to your godfather? He's pretty smart with money. Like, he knows a lot of people in the area. Maybe he can think of someone for you to talk to or something that you haven't thought of yet. And so I called my godfather up, and it sounds like a bad Italian movie, like The Godfather, right? Like, so I call him up and I vent all the same stuff to him. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I just don't know what to do. I want to take this over, but I don't have the capital to make it through the first 2 months. And he goes, well, how much do you need? And I'm like, like 20,000 to make it through the first 2 months. And then, the bills will kind of catch up and everything will be good. And he goes, okay. And it's quiet for a second, and he goes, when do you need the check? And there's just like a long pause for me because tears are streaming down my eyes, and I go, what? He goes, well, no, I've always believed in you. You know, like I've been there since you were born, and I really believe in this, and I hear your passion, and I want to bless you. So when do you need the check? And so he
like right now.
Yeah, I'm like, as soon as you can. And so we came to terms. You know, he financed me for like 2% interest or something crazy like that. I mean, just unheard of. Paid across 2 years. Wow. You know, just to make it possible. So
you say it's a dream, and as you're painting the picture, how old were you at the time when you're trying to buy the company?
Well, let's see. I was 30, 31, something like that. I was right in that pocket.
31, your wife's pregnant.
Yeah.
Waiting for your first child during the time of the purchase of the company. You say it's a dream. I mean, dude, were there any reservations or?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so it's, you kind of have to be a little bit of insane to want to own a business, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's just all kinds of stresses that people don't think about. You know, everyone, I've heard former employees, and I've said it myself, like, why is my boss making so much money? Like, you know, I'm the one doing the work. Right. And then you get on the other side of that coin and you're like, oh, crap.
There's a lot of risk.
Yeah, I know why they're like making the money that they're making or whatever it is, you know, because there is just so much risk. And I'm kind of unique in that way. I make sure that my team is paid before myself. So I tend to take less money, knowing that it is an investment in the future. But yeah, you do have to have a little spark of insanity inside you to run a company. And I think any business owner you talk to will kind of say, yeah, there was definitely some fear. A lot of, you know, like I said, 4 years, it's been a marathon. You know, I feel like I took off like a sprint, right? Like you're just running full charge and you're like, I'm going to do this. And then you get like a year or two in and you're like, holy crap, I can't even handle this anymore. You know, so like you start off very wrong and then you find your footing and you kind of make those steps through. I heard it said a few years back before I took it over that most small businesses fail within the first 5 years. Mm-hmm. So if you make it to 5 years, like you're already above the odds of a small business. And so, but I've always kind of kept that in my mind, like, okay, and how do you get better, right? Like there's just so many different metrics that you can compare yourself against, whether it's personal, business, you know, all these different things.
Thanks for catching this episode of the Pro Talk podcast. Make sure to subscribe to get notified when future episodes come out. And if you're listening on an iPhone, please leave a quick review on the Apple Podcast app. Watching on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe below.